like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam, man. Appreciate y'all being in this late stream. Sports Coma representing the great Saint Tank was popping, fam. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I won't hold y'all too long. Just cover a few news, notes, and items, man. Maybe about a 30-40 minute stream. I'll be back on Thursday. At least less than 30 minutes from now anyway, later on in the day to kind of go over some more news, notes, and items with you guys. Shout out to you for being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Shout out to the fam. All right, OG Jerry, much love. Good to see you, fam. Brother Lester's in this thing. Shout out to you. What's up, Travis? How you doing, sir? All right, G-Fly, how you doing, fam? Much love. Appreciate you being in the building. Shout out to the Queen. Chantel's in the building as well. Brother King Morrison's in this thing. Maul and Maul's up in this thing. Nah, brother, I don't sleep, brother. Well, I got off the Pelican post game report, man. I was working on some stuff, man. Doing a little website work. We got some stuff going on, and I'm always working on some business stuff. So shout out to the fam. What's up, brother Tron? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Oh yeah, it's been a minute, my brother. Appreciate you being up here as well. What's up, Brent? Shout out to my guy Brent. Chilling out there on the West Coast. Much love to brother Brent. Brandon, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you as well. Travis says, I hope this becomes a head coach by week 5. No, I don't think it's going to happen that fast, brother. But ultimately, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because the Saints are totally, man, this is it doesn't smell desperate to you, fam. Let me just ask that, man, because for 20 years, the Saints had the same offensive philosophy that bought them a Super Bowl. And pretty much, if you kind of go over it, a whole philosophy switch, offensively speaking, which is kind of groundbreaking. And I think a lot of what we've seen for 20 years has been the Sean Payton system. Even the last several years, it was the Sean Payton system. And I've said this on the previous stream that I believe that it would have been successful had it been ran like Sean Payton, insofar as like you can have the mentality, you can have the mind, you can have the knowledge, but the intangibles like discipline, attention to detail, an alpha dog mentality, that type of stuff is needed to functionally run the Sean Payton system. And you've seen it was ran from a milquetoast standpoint and it was not nearly as effective. But if you think about it, most systems, period, if you do not use them correctly, they will fail. And the Saints didn't use the Sean Payton system thorough enough like a Sean Payton would, and ultimately it failed because of a lot of things it was lacking. I mean, the philosophy and all that kind of stuff, it was just leadership lacking. A lot of the stuff that Sean Payton brung for many years was not present in the offense. And it was just a shell of itself. And Pete Carmichael just couldn't manifest those things. It's just not in him. And we knew that. So ultimately they abandoned that system. Is that a too rough name, a rough word to say there, that the Saints have they abandoned the Sean Payton system, the offensive system, in favor of a guy that 20 years ago they were trying that they actually had a leg up on him, Gary Kubiak. It's funny how this goes. It's so funny how this goes because if you go back, and you know I'm a Saint historian, like several of the family members. It's 20 some odd years ago when well right after Katrina, right around that time after Katrina when they were looking at bringing in a new head coach, Gary Kubiak, um, Sean Payton became the two finalists for the job. Tom, and I've said this before because I don't romanticize it. Tom Benson wanted Gary Kubiak, but Gary Kubiak had gotten an offer from Houston, which was very lucrative, and he brung the offer because he wanted to be the Saints head coach. And he brung the offer to the Saints and said, "Could y'all match this?" And Tom Benson told him no. It was just simple as that. No, I'm not gonna match that. Hell no. And then ultimately he went to Houston and he settled on Sean Payton. That's how it worked. I mean, it don't sound as, oh, Sean Payton knew that the job was his and the city was underwater. And then Sean Payton said, I'm going to take the city of New Orleans and put it on my shoulders and bring it up to prominence. No, none of that happened. None of that shit happened. It didn't happen that way. They try to spin it like that to romanticize it, but it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way for Peyton. It didn't happen that way for Drew Brees. Drew Brees was trying to go to Miami, and they chose Culpepper over him, and we got the loser of whoever they decided. So whoever wanted to go to Miami, who didn't want to, who Miami didn't pick, you was going to get. So if they picked Culpepper, you got Drew. If they picked Drew, you got Culpepper. That's how it worked. That don't sound quite romantic and pretty, but it's the goddamn truth. All right. So anyway, very strange how it comes around. Out of the different styles of systems in the NFL, we go back to the son of the father. That's very unique. But at the same time, a whole new philosophy switch. And this is going to be interesting to see if Klint Kubiak could implement this system with the Saints. Could he kind of resurrect a few things that we've seen happening with the San Francisco 49ers? Very interesting. And just to drop something on this, we talk about I mentioned them 49ers and the Super Bowl thing. Patrick Mahomes boys, a lot of people going crazy. The tragedy that happened in the parade route, that's awful. Prayers to those people up there. The Super Bowl situation that happened, Patrick Mahomes boys is what he is. But he was beatable. The 49ers had turnovers in the game. They had, there were, suspect calls during the game. It wasn't a perfect game. It wasn't a solid game for the San Francisco 49ers. Mahomes gave them an interception on the short field. They couldn't turn it into points. So they had opportunities, but they squandered them. So the 49ers next time around, if they get a next time around, they got to do a better job of seizing those opportunities. You can't have fumbles and, get a short field and not get 3 points out of it. You can't have an extra point and kick the damn ball low so it gets blocked. Extra point, you put the ball up high. If you hit the extra point, you know what? That changes the directory of the game. It really does change the direction of the game. But anyway, credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. They got another victory in the Super Bowl, man. Patrick Mahomes boys is an awesome quarterback, but 49ers, you take care of business. You never know how this thing could have ended. But anyway, shout out to the fam. Listen, Kubiak is going to be an interesting choice for the OC job here for him. They picking him. The Saints officially name him. This is coming directly off their website. He's named the offensive coordinator, and they give you some backdrop on Klint Kubiak. And I'm going to play an interview once again for some of the family members that might not have seen the stream. I'm going to show a play of an old interview of him, and it's probably going to be a similar thing. His mindset, he has a bit of seriousness to him, like in his philosophy, and he's all about the business. So we'll see how they mesh here. Now, this is the Saints head from their website. Allen announced that Klint Kubiak has been hired as the OC. Kubiak joins the Saints from the Niners, where he spent the 23 season as the team's offensive passing game specialist. Kubiak is a 14-year coaching veteran, including 10 seasons in the NFL. And of course, this is what Dennis Allen said. We're excited to announce that Klint Kubiak as our offensive coordinator. I want to thank the various impressive candidates that we interviewed throughout the process. Klint has done an excellent job in a variety of roles in 10 years in the NFL and is a valuable play calling experience. He has played an important role in the growth of many players throughout his career, starting with the quarterback position. I look forward to us getting to work as we form our offensive staff and to see Klint lead that group, play a pivotal role in the development of our players on offense and maximize our strengths on offense. So And they talk about Klint and what he did. He played an important role in planning and tutelage of the passing game for the Super Bowl Niners. The Niners ranked second in the NFL in total offense, just under 399, including fourth in net passing of 257.9. The Niners finished first in the league in red zone touchdown percentage with 67.2%, fourth in the league in third down conversions, 47.5, and was tied for sixth fewest turnovers in the NFL. Pro Bowl quarterback Brock Purdy completed 308 of 44 passes for 69, just over 69%, over 4,200 yards with 21 touchdowns against only 11 interceptions. Phenomenal. League best passer rating of 113.0, and NFL best 123.8 in fourth quarter. Numbers, including Purdy's 5 offensive 49ers, were selected to the Pro Bowl. 4 were selected as AP All-Pros, like tight end George Kittle, fullback Kyle Juszczyk, running back Christian McCaffrey, and Trent Williams. A lot of Pro Bowl talent there. So then they give you a backdrop of some of how he was a passing game coordinator for Denver after coaching 3 seasons with the Vikings, and they talk about all the stuff and how he helped work with guys like Jefferson and Kirk Cousins and Delvin Cook, and they had a pretty good offense there as well. And like I said, he comes from Gary Kubiak, and then of course the Shanahan tree, and then his relationship with Kyle Shanahan, the son of Mike Shanahan, and then of course Gary Kubiak, who worked with Mike Shanahan. So I mean, it's a lot of pedigree here from some of these guys, and this guy's been like I ain't gonna call him a savant, but this guy's he's been around this stuff for his entire life. His father was a quarterback in the NFL behind John Elway. He won a couple of Super Bowls as a backup. When he hung up his cleats, he became an offensive coordinator. Gary Kubiak was speaking about, he won 2 championships as an OC, and that which piqued the great Tom Benson's interest in wanting to try to hire him as the coach after he got rid of Haslett. So this guy's been around football his entire life, and he has a certain seriousness about him. He's young enough to be able to relate to some of these guys. And we hopefully see Gary Kubiak do some positive stuff. So let me get ready to play this for you. And I played some of this before. This is not very long. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear this. But this is an old interview I dug up about him. Get to know passing game coordinator QB Klint Kubiak from his time with the Broncos. And I expect him to say similar things. So listen to this. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all.
Hey, I'm Klint Kubiak, quarterback coach for the Denver Broncos. I'm excited about the leadership. Coach Hackett, George Payton, and a really talented roster. So a lot of great pieces to work with, but most importantly, the men in charge. I would say that I like to stress the process over results. It's important to me to stress accountability and to always make practice stressful for the players so that game day is easy. So those are 3 things I like to key on. I worked for 4 different teams, 7 different head coaches in college and the pros, between Texas A&M, Kansas, the Minnesota Vikings, and here in Denver. So I've been really fortunate to work for a lot of great leaders, and I've learned a lot along the way that's shaped me and made me who I am. It's really not about me, it's about what we can do together as a coaching staff. So, I think I bring a collaborative mindset to the offense, and that's what I hope to do here in the upcoming months as we put together our playbook. I like to read. I'm a big reader. I'm kind of a nerd in that way, but I'm a family man. I'm a reader. I'm pretty boring that way, and family, football. Those are the things that I care most about.
All right, so that's a brief, picture of who your new offensive coordinator is, and I think the thing that I really like about what Klint was saying was, let me see if I can get it back to that point where he talks about the offense.
I'm excited about the leadership. Coach Hackett, George Payton, and a really talented roster. So a lot of great pieces to work with, but most importantly, the men in charge. I would say that I like to stress the process over results. It's important to me to stress accountability and to always make practice stressful for the players so that game day is easy. So those are 3 things I like to key on.
All right, so those, and listen, when he said that, I was like, okay, let me see what kind of dude this is here. because they can tell you anything. Let me go get the tape and put on whatever I can find about this guy and listen to him. You see what I'm saying? That's how, and I share that with the family members because you listen to him. And the one thing I want to see from or hear from my offensive coordinator is the A word, accountability. And he said that he likes to stress, he talks about accountability. You got to have that for things to be successful. And he's not spitting a bunch of hot air because no matter where he went, he's had success because you have to make sure guys are held accountable. You can't have what you had last year, which is guys not being held accountable and guys coddling guys, coddling the quarterback, making excuses for him, elevating him when he does right, but not criticizing him when he does right. That's not how it's supposed to go. If you're going to, give him credit, you got to give him the blame. You can't not do one and not the other. It has to be both. You can't pick and choose. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I like about what he's saying is, and his results, if I went back and do some research on him, and the guy has a serious mentality. I also like when he said about stress in practice, meaning he likes to make practice stressful. That's one of the three key things that he talked about in his philosophy is making practice stressful, having high stress practices. Why? Because he believes that if you practice at a high stress level, that when the game comes, it'll be a lot smoother, a lot calmer than practice. So if you're practicing hard and you're hustling hard and you're doing it in practice, it'll shine through in game simulation. You'll be more cool and calm in the game scenarios, which I like that philosophy. I like that philosophy a lot. So the accountability is a big thing. The key to Klint Kubiak is, like I said before, he has to unlock Carr. And I mean that with I mean that pun intended, okay? He has to unlock Carr and help him get to that next level if there is a next level. And I think there is a next level for Derrick Carr, despite the fact that he's been in the game for 10 years. Going into his 11th season, I do believe there's another level to Carr. But it takes accountability, it takes seriousness, and it takes you getting rid of the excuses to get there. If you're trying to compete with the top echelon of quarterbacks, and there's a reason why Derek Carr doesn't have a playoff victory. He made all this money from the Raiders and now 150 some odd million from the Saints. We're not looking for a mid-tier quarterback here. We didn't need that. The Carr strategy is supposed to be a guy that takes the Saints to the next level. What we seen this past year, that wasn't it. Him fussing with wide receivers, fussing with his old linemen, not taking accountability. And in press conferences, we really busted him just lying. Oh, we got the answers. They're in the building. What was the answers then? I can't tell you. They're in the building. And then the next game you lose. So, I mean, we don't need none of that. No more of that. So Klint Kubiak comes here. Hopefully the accountability comes in because I know Dennis Allen gives him total control of the offense, and he can build that offense the way he sees fit. Thank you, Brent. Brent says, will he teach Carr to read? And this is the thing. Absolutely. And like I said, if you listen to Klint, because he has a couple of interviews, not a lot of them, but when you can find them. But you look at his body of work, what he did from teams that he goes to, and some coaches do talk about him as being a student of the game. Coming up under Kubiak, that was in his blood, to do what he's doing. And, like Kyle Shanahan with Mike Shanahan, the son of Mike Shanahan, Kyle being Mike's son, Mike Shanahan's son. Is it any, wonder why these guys at that level are that good? They've been around it their entire lives. That's like Steph Curry. If you go back way back in the day when Dale Curry, his father, was playing, Steph was on the court with him running around, dribbling the ball. He's been around it his whole life. And when you see something like that, of course they're going to be naturally great at it. They've been around, they've been doing it their whole life. So, and it's the same with some of these guys that have been around the system, becomes second nature to them. And they have an imagination. Like this guy has attention to detail. He has seriousness. And I do like what he was saying on this particular interview when he made mention of the fact that he wants accountability, which you can't have success without not sustained success or long running success without any form of accountability. You also, he talked about stressing the practice, which is big, having stressful practices. That is also a thing that I want to see because we need that to happen. And Brent, I actually and that's the part of the accountability model, teaching him to read the field. That's a big problem with Derek Carr that we seen last year. I ain't gonna say Carr is dumb. A lot of people say he's dumb. I don't think Derek Carr is dumb. I think Derek Carr is capable, but I think Derek Carr is fundamentally flawed, and I think he's lazy at times. Well, how else would you explain him not looking at the other side of the field? He's staring down that's laziness. That's all it is, because it don't take you nothing to span the field to see what option. When he finally started doing that the last month of the season, you start seeing the offense flow because he was actually doing what he was supposed to do. Klint Kubiak is not going to let that ride, man. He got to get on Carr and make sure, because listen, this is a pressure situation. I started to show up asking the family members, is the Klint Kubiak signing at OC a bit of desperation for the Saints? You got to say yes, because Dennis Allen pressing on this year. If they don't get to the playoffs, Dennis Allen is fired. um Mickey Loomis gets a black eye in terms of his resume, and people just put more pressure on him. He have to find somebody. So it's absolutely a bit of desperation here for the Saints. And what could, when Dennis Allen facing his third year here, and them totally abandoning Sean Payton's system and bringing in a whole nother system to run, that is very daring. But I do like the Kubiak system. I do like the Kyle Shanahan system. It's a very fun system to watch. The 49ers play with all the pre-snap motion and the throw you off with the misdirection, how they attack you horizontally, and all this other stuff that they do. It's a very fun style of offense to play, but everybody's going to have to learn how to get used to playing it. And some of these guys played Sean Payton's system for a while. I know probably at some point they might have had some, lookings at some of the stuff, but it might have some familiarity to some things. But for the entire offensive unit to learn a brand new system, and how Carr reacted to a QB friendly system last year, we can only hope that that he responds in kind and be a lot more productive this upcoming year, because he has to, for the benefit of his coach. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you for that super chat, my friend. Appreciate it.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Shout out to Brent. Appreciate you. So yes, and the John Gruden thing won't be solved until after July. And of course, the Saints can bring Gruden in. That's like an offensive, like not an assistant, but like a, what do you call it? Senior advisor. They can always bring him in as like an offensive advisor or something. We've done that before. I remember Sean Payton did that with Chaney. They had they bring in these guys and they call them a senior advisor. So they do that from time to time, but his court situation don't get resolved until after July. They pushed it back to July. Hey, Brandon says, question: all offensive systems we hire, are they Clint's choice or Dennis Allen and Loomis' choice? I would have to say, Brendan, good question. I would have to say these are Klint Kubiak's choices, because the reality is, let me tell you, out of all the things that Dennis Allen is and Mickey Loomis are, I have to say they're not meddlers. I mean, I have to say that, knowing who they are and how they operate, they're not going to meddle in your business. Even if you tearing the team down, they won't meddle. And when you destroy the team, they'll just turn up and make excuses for you. Like that's what Mickey Loomis does. He won't meddle in your affairs. Neither would Dennis Allen. Whatever happens on the offensive side of the ball is all for Klint Kubiak. He tells them what they want, and they're going to go and get it. Whether that's players or offensive players, or whether it's assistant coaches, whatever the case may be. I think all of these calls and these choices is going to be Klint Kubiak's. He will be tasked with turning the Saints offense into something. It's going to be interesting, man, to see how it looks, man. But like I said, I've watched a lot of 49ers play, and I really like their offense. And I like knowing Sean Payton's style of system. I've seen it for so many years, and it tearing up the NFL. But like a comparative system insofar as watching Sean Payton's offense when it's thriving, it is fun as hell. But watching Kyle Shanahan's system, like you guys watched the Super Bowl and you seen, I guess that wasn't a really good representation. It was still an interesting and entertaining game. But when the Shanahan system is operating for the 49ers, it is really a nice looking system with all of the movement and everything going on. It is a fun system to watch. Now, could he get it going here? I would hope so. I would really hope so because I really want to see the team thrive, despite the fact Dennis Allen's on top of it. Now, I just want to get a playoff. I want to get in the playoff. Scrabbled said, I was excited for hiring Kubiak, but I was kind of nervous after seeing that he was available after so long. Maybe it's because the teams didn't want to deal with waiting. But if that is exactly the case, what I'm hearing, bro, that's exactly what happened from what I heard. Like, a lot of people were picking their guys and getting their guys. I think the Saints kind of zeroed in between Greasy and Kubiak, and it was another third choice, but they kind of zeroed in on those two guys, and both of those guys are 49ers guys, and ultimately Kubiak won. And to be honest with you, they want to kind of see if they can borrow that system and bring it here. Maybe they can help Alvin Kamara. Maybe Klint could do for Kamara what he did for and helped with CMC. But CMC had a phenomenal year, with the 49ers, put the team on his back in many regards. Perhaps he can do some stuff like turn Juwan Johnson into I ain't going to say a Kittle type because that's really going a ways, but the Saints really have the talent to do a lot of those things, and we borrowing the 49er system, and they have to install it fast. They got to install it fast, and they got to win. A 9 playoff win is not going to count it, man. It's not going to count for New Orleans. All right, so anyway, let's keep it going, man. Hearing from Kubiak there, man, I just wanted to share his thoughts on you. Let's show this post. Shout out to John Sigler. This is he elegantly kind of showed this staff, this breakdown of what the offensive coaching staffs is shaping up. And this is a good list to kind of look at and to keep account of. You see Klint Kubiak as the OC. Quarterbacks coach is Andrew Janoku. We covered that in the previous stream. We played an interview by Janoku. He worked with Kirk Cousins, helping him develop his game. And those two, Klint's philosophy, the quarterback coach and Janoku, those guys will have to work with Derek Carr and unlocking him. They got to unlock that next level of Derek Carr. That's what this is about. And the pressure's on, like I said. Also, Clancy Barone still around, and you see Jordan Trill and a few of those guys. Jari Evans is still a part of the team, but there's still a lot of stuff to be determined. Now, Derrick Foster was listed as the new running backs coach. I'm going to play a little bit of Derrick Foster. Derrick Foster's a super cool dude. I'll play a little bit about him. I got an interview I got tuned up that I'm going to play for you guys, but that is the next one that I wanted to go over. As you can see, some of the lists as we roll down, there's still a wide receiver coach that the Saints are interviewing. I'm going to go over that as well. The wide receiver assistant is Kevin Petrie. You see the tight ends coach and assistants is set out, and you see the offensive line coach. We talked about John Benton. I played an interview about John Benton before, and those three guys for the offense. I'm talking about OC, and everybody has their level of importance. When you're talking about the mindset of the offense with Klint Kubiak installing that 49er style offense, or like that Shanahan style offense, and the quarterbacks coach Janoku, who's a pretty calm dude, cerebral guy that can talk to Carr and kind of see if he can find out what, kind of work, kind of dissect Carr, because that's what it comes down to. Dissecting them and understand how we can make you better. We got to stop you from having all of these things where you just stare down half the field, all this kind of stuff. He has to, hopefully they can get rid of all of that kind of stuff. A lot of bad habits there. And then, of course, John Benton, who's the offensive line coach, is a guy that'll be tasked with all of those wide zone runs and stuff like that when they're attacking horizontally, and doing the pulling and all this kind of stuff. He will have to get those guys going, and that's a big part of this equation. John Benton getting the Saints offensive line together. And of course, they'll have to bring in some guys to be able to get working and doing that. Perhaps they'll draft some guys. Perhaps they'll bring a combination of free agents as well as draft picks to bring in to kind of get the right personnel from an offensive line standpoint to be able not only just to protect Derek Carr, but also be able to run the ball the way they want to. Mobile linemen that can be able to move and block and, play with an intensity, play with a focus, play with a ferocity, to play with attitude. Blocking is all about attitude, especially when you mauling and pushing people on out the way. You got to play with some attitude there. So anyway, let's cover this article right here. New Orleans Saints expected to add Derrick Foster to their offensive staff. For more additions on the way, the Saints offensive staff, according to reports. Now, Derrick Foster is expected to join the Saints staff at the team's new running back coach, according to some reports. The news first broke by Matt Zenitz of CBS and 24/7 Sports, then Nick Underhill. He did it. He confirmed it. And Foster has spent the last 3 seasons as a running backs coach of the Chargers. Prior to that, he was a running backs coach for the Iowa Hawkeyes for 3 years. He began his career as an offensive assistant with the University of Tennessee in 2012. Those Tennessee ties, right? The Chargers ranked 25th in rushing production last year. They were 30th in the previous year and 21st and 21. Chargers running back Austin Eckler is considered one of the league's top all-purpose backs. It was instrumental for the Chargers' passing attack. So we get this brother in here. Foster joins a revamped New Orleans offensive staff that still has openings at the wide receiver position. As far as the coach is concerned, Kubiak is the new offensive coordinator, replacing longtime coordinator Pete Carmichael. Andrew Janockel will be the new QB coach, taking over for the departed Ronald Curry. John Benton takes over from Doug Marone's place as the offensive line coach, and only tight end coach Clancy Barone remains among the team's offensive position coaches from a season ago. New Orleans ranked 21st in the rushing yardage last season, 31st in rushing yards per carry. And of course, Alvin Kamara is arguably NFL's most versatile back. Jamal Williams had a quiet year after coming over from Detroit as a free agent, but was a 100-yard rusher and led the NFL in touchdowns, or a 1,000-yard rusher and led the NFL in touchdowns in 2022. Rookie third-round pick Kendra Miller was injured much of the year, but showed some explosive potential down the stretch. So shout out to Bob Rose. He wrote this article here and talked about Derrick Foster being added to the team. Now, let me kind of share with you guys Mr. Foster let you hear his words and his perspective on the NFL. I'll give you a few minutes of a new running back coach, Derrick Foster. Here we go. Put one in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So born and raised in Goshen, Alabama. Come from a single parent home, small area, rural area, where it's a small town where everybody kind of knows everyone. So I have two older brothers and a sister. She's the youngest. My oldest brother, he lives in Montgomery, Alabama. And they both drive trucks. The other one lives in Troy. My sister lives closer to my older brother, which is in Montgomery. We're all really close to one another. Try to speak to one another on an occasional basis as much as possible. But like I said, I grew up the only child, grew up around sports. I had neighbors and friends in my neighborhood that I would always go play with, that kind of, helped shape and mold me into the direction that I ended up going in my adolescent year and up in my adulthood. And so my dad was around. We got a great relationship right now, man. He is an awesome guy. He works hard, and him and I have a really good relationship. And so it wasn't that it was a bad, relationship between him and I. He just wasn't in my home.
Right.
But go ahead, that.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. So from Alabama, man, and now transitioning, like I kind of said in the intro, like you took advantage of opportunities. I'm curious, back in Alabama, as far as like growing up, in your atmosphere, like what were you looking forward to? Like, what did you have anything that you're like, hey, I hope I'm in this space in the future, like as far as passions or a career or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Just a second. I'm gonna finish that up. And this is Derrick Foster being interviewed on. This is Austin Eckler, as y'all recognize. Austin has his own YouTube platform, and he interviews people he knows. So he has his own show, and he brought his running back coach among other people on the show. But shout out to Brent, says, I know it shouldn't matter, but who's older, Kubiak or Carr? Kubiak is 36 years of age, and Carr is 32. So yeah, it's just hope there's no respect issue. No, I don't think there'll be, but yeah, Kubiak is I think he was born in 87. I'm trying to remember off the report, but I think he's 36 years of age, and Carr's 32. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you for the super chat, my friend. All right, here we're going back to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sports. I grew up around sports, and like every Friday when in football season, my mom would always take me to the Friday football game, especially if it was a home game. And if it was close enough, I was there. If there's a basketball game going on, I was there. If there was baseball going on, I was there. Anything with outdoor activities, anything to keep me moving that I was a part of. And it was just a part of my childhood,
Right.
And so that was my passion. And then when I was young, I was able to watch everybody else's reaction to sports. And, everybody else around me was very passionate about the game of sports. And it seemed to me as a child, it brought a lot of people together. And that's what I appreciated the most out of it, the atmosphere, the electric atmosphere, and the fans screaming and rooting you on and cheering you on. And so once I saw what that felt like, and got a taste of it, it was kind of what, fueled my fire, my passion. Was like, you know what, I think I can, go on and do something really big, whether it's continuing on to playing, professional level, and if not, one day maybe coach.
Awesome. So yeah, man, I can relate to that just because I came from a small town. How big was your town that you grew up in?
Wow. So if you Google it and do Wikipedia, I think Wikipedia have us at like maybe 300,
300,000?
300.
300 people. Oh.
I think I'm pretty accurate on that. It's not a
Wow.
I'm telling you.
Wow, man. Good for you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I'm excited for the next
Yeah.
one, right, man? From 300 people to where you're at now, man. Like, I'm thinking my town is small and we got 4,000, man. We're
Yeah.
huge compared to you. Oh my God. But no, we had to still have the same small town feel. Where it's like, yeah, you get the community support, everyone supporting each other, man, and just it brings you into that ecosystem. So then, yeah, so you're still in the game then, right? Not necessarily playing right now, but still found yourself a way to actually still contribute. Was there, just to start talking about opportunities, was there an opportunity that stands out to you that you got? Obviously there was a lot along the way, but one that really stands out to you that you took advantage of that kind of sprung you in this direction and kind of set the path for you?
Yeah. So once I graduated college, you're at this crossroad and you think you got it figured out and you really don't. You're just now starting to understand what life is going to be about, and you're still figuring things out. So I moved back home for a little while and I started working at a plant called Smart Plant in Laverne, Alabama. And so basically it was a distributing plant for Hyundai, where we would inspect car parts to be assembled on Hyundai, cars or whatnot. And so I was a quality control inspector. So I had several parts I had to evaluate and spectate and make sure everything was good. Well, anyway, my collegiate coach, who was he was my offensive coordinator in college. He had GA'd at Troy. It was ironic that he had did his graduate assistant like locally near my hometown. And so him and I had a great relationship. So anyway, he got the job at Valdosta State University. And one day, man, I was just in the plant and I was like, man, listen, I want to be around the game I love. I want to be around people. I want to inspire people, help people, and help young men, and that was my passion. And so I called him up and he was like, man, we don't have anything right now for you. And so, man, I'm at this plant. I'm working the night shift, right? So I'm going in at like 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm getting off at maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh, wow. And I'm like, man, like this is tough. You know what I mean? Like this is tough. And so, but it wasn't my passion. And I learned a lot there, you know what I mean? And those people that work there are awesome people. And I'm grateful for the opportunity they gave me, but it was not what I saw myself doing for my future. Right. So anyway, I finally called him and he picked up the phone. He said, hey, listen, I don't have a coaching job for you, but I do have a position for you if you'd be interested. And he said, it'll be working in the equipment management room. I said, okay, so be it. Like, I'll take it. So I drove over to Valdosta State. I met with the head coach. We sat down. We agreed that, I was going to go to graduate school. They will pay for my graduate school, find me a place to live, and so forth after that, right? And everything else would kind of be on my own. So I just had to pay for my school out of the scholarship money that was provided for me. So there was no stipends after that. It was just simply, hey, this is your allotment of money. Right. Do with it what you will. Use it towards your classes, and then whatever's left over, you can, use it towards your books or whatever you need it for.
Now, Derrick Foster this is a pretty interesting. It goes on for another 4 or 5 minutes, but this is a self-made guy. He talked about his father not being in the home, his motivation, why he got to where he is. You could talk about him working in the plant, in the factory, and ultimately taking a significantly lesser paying job, because he talked about the equipment manager situation. He worked his way up from that to that. And it just is a testament about people who have a vision for what they want to become and what they want to do. And they do not stop at nothing until they actualize, they realize, they materialize their vision. And that's what Derrick Foster did. He did it. In his story is really interesting, man. How he climbed from working, an equipment manager, up to into college rankings and then ultimately into the NFL. So, man, don't tell me about not being able to accomplish things in life, man. This guy did it. You guys read on him. Check out Derrick Foster, man. Pretty phenomenal coach, man, with a good philosophy, a hardworking dude, really intelligent guy, man. And I'm just looking forward to see what kind of what he brings to the Saints running back room. You know, we had a pretty good running backs coach for a long time, but getting Derrick Foster to work with our running backs, man, that's going to be special. And we have a pretty good group of running backs with AK-41. You got Brother Williams, Del Jamal, you got Kendre Miller, and then whatever undrafted guys we bring along, man. So it's going to be fun watching him with those guys. And of course, let's move on to the next one. The Saints trying to get that wide receiver position filled in terms of the coach. Saints targeting Ravens assistant Keith Williams for the wide receiver coach position. Another name to watch, according to Nick Underhill, reports that the Saints are interviewing Baltimore Ravens assistant Keith Williams for the wide receiver coach opening, looking to replace Cody Burns. Williams spent the last 3 years in Baltimore, initially starting out as the team's pass game specialist before focusing his work on the receiving core. But he's been in the game for a long time. Before coming to the NFL, he coached at Nebraska, Tulane, Fresno State, working closely with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams early in their collegiate careers. Circles always come back around. So you obviously have some familiarity with Carr and new insight to bring to the coaching staff. We'll see if the Saints are able to seal the deal and pull Williams away from Baltimore. So stay tuned. Klint Kubiak has checked most of the boxes and filling out his new look offensive coaching staff, with receiver coach being the last major spot to field. So there you go, Keith Williams, fam, Keith Williams. And also, just so you guys will know, let me share. This is Keith Williams right here. Let me give you a little bit of his philosophy and what he's talking about as well. This could potentially be your new wide receiver coach, man. We'll know momentarily soon.
I guess, you got a full plate, with your responsibility with the Ravens, the private coaching. I guess, what drives you to continue working with kids at this point?
I just love whiteout play. I love being out on the field. I love talking whiteout play. I love being around anybody who wants to work and get better at whiteout play in their craft. And so I know a lot of these kids, a lot of the kids are, Eric, Mike's son and Benji's son. So, like I said, we're all like family. So, that's part of the motivation also. But again, I just love being around anybody who wants to get better at playing wideout.
And how, I guess, what you mentioned and how you know a lot of the kids too, like how rewarding is it for you to be able to continue to see their growth and development, through these early years?
Right. It's really rewarding because when they were, when I was working with them, when I lived here in Nebraska, you can see that they had this kind of potential, and for me to see that they stayed on track, stayed the course, and then, you're starting to see some of that potential play out and be reached. It's really rewarding.
So this is the thing. The guy obviously in his spare time worked with kids, and he does a lot of positive stuff as well. So this is the kind of people that you incorporate into your offense, people that are community or environment so focused people, helping people, guys that love the game, want to, like he may mention himself, work with guys who want to get better, that want to, develop their games. So this is a guy that could potentially be in there. Also, they're negotiating and talking to him right now. We should know something about this fairly soon. Okay, so that's a couple of things I have for you guys, and I'm probably going to stop on that, man, as we get ready to kind of get out of the stream. I don't want to keep you guys too late. But if you guys have any quick questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat before we get ready to dirk out of this thing, man. But listen, the staff is coming together. They're putting it together. As a matter of fact, let me show this to you guys once again. As you can see, this is kind of the list of things right here. Klint Kubiak is the OC. Andrew Janoku from Minnesota is the QB coach. The QB assistant will be determined. Running backs coach is Derrick Foster. I played some of his interview. Wide receiver could possibly be the gentleman I just played for you, Mr. Keith Williams. And like I said, that's the last of the really big names is Williams, and then of course they'll finish the filling the assistant underneath those guys, like the QB assistant or the rest of them, and another offensive line assistant and the senior assistant. Notice that is a to be determined situation. The senior assistant, that could possibly be who, but we won't know that until pretty much later on in the game. You know what I'm saying? Later on in the game, like after July. if there is such a thing with him. And even if we'll see what they do with that position, if they kind of hold on to that and they're not open that position right now, who they holding it for. That could be the final leg of it, with the OC being Klint, and then of course the senior assistant being who. So we'll see, man. We'll see. All right. What's up, Colorado? How you doing, fam? Pretty good, man. Blessed, man. Feeling pretty good, man. All right. Shout out to the fam. What's up, Lo? Shout out to my brother, Lo. What in the world, Bo? How you doing, brother? Appreciate my dog, Lo, in the building. Hope everything going well with you out there, my friend. Jay Rodow says, thanks for putting out this content, Q. Thank you, sir, for being here and spending some time with the fam. He says, was wondering what other coach hires was going to be who that. All right. Yeah, the like we said, we make mention of the guy that just played Keith Williams as a report saying that the Saints want him to be the wide receiver coach. And then after that is really just assistant positions like assistant offensive line coach, stuff like that. You got your OC, you got your QB coach, you will have the QB assistant, you have your running backs coach, you're working on your wide receivers coach, you got your tight end coach already, you got your offensive line coach. Well, you got all these guys, the list is in front of you, and then you got a few assistant positions left, and then the big shoe to drop is the final one, which is the senior assistant. A lot of people believe that'll ultimately be John Gruden. So, we'll see how that all works out, man. All right. Anyway, let's see what else. Anybody? I need any more questions before we get ready to dirk out this thing. All right, Brian, you typing up a storm, brother. He says all these coaches that we're reacquiring for the Saints might be cool, but they have to do their job. They get this team to the next level into the Super Bowl. There's never been, in terms of a team and making a Super Bowl in its own stadium, right? In its own, and the Super Bowl is going to be this upcoming year in the city of New Orleans. It's been a while since we've hosted it. In my estimation, right now, it's very early on to say whether or not the Saints are going to make it. I'm not trying to be negative about it, but it's never been done. And just because it never been done doesn't mean that it won't be done. But we all know why it never happened, and it's just for the powers that be. It's not good business, for that to happen. Even when Tom Brady, when they had the Super Bowl in Tampa and Tom Brady was the quarterback of Tampa Bay, it didn't happen then, right? Remember, I think he fell short in it. If so, like I said, I don't think that will happen for the Saints this year. That's a lot to hang on to say that, okay, we're going to take the Saints going to the Super Bowl. And listen, I'm gonna be positive about it as best as I can, but I'm also a realist, and they, and I always play, y'all know my song, I always play. They're going to have to show some stuff. They're going to have to show me that they fixed a lot of stuff. I'm not going to just be buying into it, and you got to save yourself for that. Don't be putting your heart and all that stuff into it until these people show you that they're serious about it. I have not, from what they've been showing me in terms of what I've seen over the last couple of years, is that, they do all the stuff in the off season to get you excited, but then when the on season start, they don't maintain the energy. They don't put it all together. And that's a consistent pattern that I've seen happen. And then when stuff starts breaking down, they don't want to fix it. They'll talk about fixing it, but they don't actually put the work in to fix it. They don't pull guys that's not playing well out. If Derek Carr is doing terrible, they don't chastise him. They coddle him, and you're not going to get anywhere with that, and Dennis Allen is one of the worst. He's the worst for that type of model because, he's a guy that some of these players don't trust because he threw them under the bus at the end of the season. We shouldn't have never heard about the fact that they ran a play without his permission. I keep reiterating that the only reason we found out about that is because Dennis Allen told everybody so that he didn't get the blame for it. Who wants to play for a guy like that? So, I mean, like I said, man, I don't know, man. It's just, they got a lot of things have to change, and the head coach has to change. He has to be better than what he is. We talk about them putting talent on the field, but it really is, it goes back to the head coach. Is this guy getting better as a head coach? What is he doing? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what is he improving his decision making? Is he working on his motivational techniques? Is he going to church and having somebody pray that demon out of him that like to backstab everybody and be a weasel? Is he doing? You see what I'm saying? Is he doing? I'm serious on that. Is he doing some spiritual work to understand that? Hey, I am a weasel. I am a underhanded, no good, rotten weasel that that'll throw my team under the bus. And it just what it is how I came up. That's how I survive in this world. I have to be cutthroat. I have to be backstabby. That kind of stuff. Do he fix that? So I mean, like I said, man, it's a lot of stuff. And don't tell me they got rotten ass coaches in the game that are successful, but some of them are a little bit more craftier and slicker than to throw their entire offensive unit under the bus and apologize to the big low squad. I'm just saying, is any of that going to happen? Is he going to improve? And if the answer is no, then why would I expect anything different? Klint Kubiak and listen, I like Klint Kubiak. I like the system, but still in all, the guy is new. He never been in this position before. He's been, a subordinate underneath the offensive coordinator. It's his first OC role. So he's going to have some learning to do. So it's not going to be instantaneous. So it's not like they hired an established offensive coordinator to come in and take the reins who knows what he's doing. They got a guy that's doing it for the first time. So I have to, let you know that. I know that's the excitement. Hey, we doing this. Look what we got, family. We got this going on. We got this going. Listen, that's great. That's positive. I get it. But let's balance this thing. The guy's doing it for the first time. He's going to have to figure it out. So some mistakes are going to be made. Some mistakes are going to be made here. So it's going to be a patience factor with this guy. And do you have the patience to deal with that with Dennis Allen in his third year going into it? That's a lot of pressure on Cars, a lot of pressure on Klint Kubiak, a lot of pressure on Loomis, a lot of pressure on Dennis Allen because of the aforementioned last 3 years of non-playoff football. 2 under his administration, by the way. So anyway, just dropping that, man. All right. Travis says he's going to bring over yeah, I agree with that, bro. Yeah, that's what they all do. They all do that. They bring players over, whether it's offense. He's gonna bring some offensive linemen, maybe a receiver or two. He's gonna bring guys over to try to help the Saints system get together. And like I said, man, we'll see. Tim says, Q, what do you think about the O-line transition to zone run? Do we need new players? You definitely gonna need some new players, bro. You definitely gonna need that because based on what we was watching last year, from what the Saints were running, and their system wasn't terribly complicated. That zone run system is I ain't gonna say it's complicated, but it requires some movement. You're gonna have to move. Not only move, but pull either left or right. But when you get there, you got to block. And remember, there were times when I watched the Saints do that last year. They'll pull out there and don't block anybody or don't know who to block. And I'm like, okay, how did these guys always seem to pull and they miss blocks and guys get tackled? Like Elvin had 2 guys out front of him, 2 offensive linemen pull on. I talked about this before. And this is because this is the one that sticks in my mind from studying all this tape. It was a toss or a sweep play to the left side of the line. 2 offensive linemen, Andrews Pete was one of them. I think McCoy was the other one that pulled to the left. They pulled, and they were in front of Elvin Kamara. And I think Elvin had just crossed the line of scrimmage. And there was one defender against 2 of those blockers. In some kind of way, that guy got behind them and was able to tackle Kamara for a minimal gain. And I was like, how is that? How? Like you pull, but they get lost. Like, I don't know. And it's just sad. So John Benton, who's the offensive line coach, and Klint Kubiak, these guys are going to have to work on that. They're going to have to work on that because it ain't, your best offensive lineman of many years, Ryan Ramczyk, is the right tackle. It's probably not going to play next year. He got this real bad knee issue. It's career threatening. You currently don't have a left tackle. Your first round draft pick guy, Trevor Penning, is buried on a depth chart. They don't know what they're going to do with Penning. I would recommend before people want to say switch him to a guard position. I like before we do that, let's try him at the right tackle position. Try him at right tackle before we ultimately decide to guard him up. And depending on how much money the Saints have in free agency, when they finally get down this $80+ million, tab that they have, depending on what they have, they might want to go into free agency and see if they can get a left tackle, a veteran. I'm not even though they have several really good offensive linemen in this upcoming draft, and the Saints pick right around the middle there. I would kind of want to get a veteran for the blind side of the quarterback, but I wouldn't be mad if they did take a guy, like the big Oregon State guy, or perhaps Latham out of Alabama, or I don't think Joe Alt falls from Notre Dame, but something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I would prefer to take a veteran. But you're right, though. I think some of these guys they'll pull some 49ers guys and some talent from there, or perhaps other places that they have. They know who can help them run that type of blocking scheme. So we'll see how it all works, man. But yeah, they got a lot of work to do. Demi, shout out to you. Says Q, good morning. I hear Jameis Winston wants to remain the same. Do you think DA keeps him? That's a great question, Demi. I don't know. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't know, because I seen Jameis was out here during the parade season. He's a man of the people. He's probably one of the most popular Saints on the team. And he's not even the starting quarterback. He's way more popular than the starting quarterback of the team. It's crazy. So I think Jameis probably wants to stay with the Saints, but I don't know if the Saints would be good with. I ain't saying they mad at him, but is it time for the Saints to move beyond Jameis with everything that happened at the back of the year with Jameis going in there and running that play? Dennis Allen's petty. If one thing I know about Dennis Allen, he's petty. So it could be a situation where Sam Darnold, who was with the 49ers as a backup last year, might be your new backup quarterback. If I was forced to make a bet on it for Jameis, and I had to bet on it, like, now you got to say yay or nay, I would have to say no to that, because I know how Dennis Allen operates. Even though he did, after backstabbing Jameis, what was it, the year before last, they reworked the deal to keep him. But when he ran that play, I don't think that's the thing that gets him out the door. But ultimately, I think Klint Kubiak decides who his backup quarterback's going to be to run, for his system. And time might be up for Jameis. Time might be up for Jameis. I don't think he got a fair shot here anyway. So I think if I was forced to bet, I would probably say no to Jameis being here, man. I would love to have him here. I just don't. I don't think that they're probably going to do their own thing. All right. Yeah, you're right, Kevin. That's a rookie at offensive tackle. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the whole thing we try to avoid, especially with Derrick Carr on that side. You look gun shy. You talking about, so that's why it's like depending on the money situation, Kev, that's what it comes down to. How much money could the Saints ultimately dial down? How could they how much money could they free up to do that and bring in to kind of help them? That's the thing I'm looking at. I would like to have a veteran there, but they have to be able to afford it. Brandon says, I don't know. I know it won't happen, but it would be something if we somehow get Deebo Samuel from the Niners. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, bro. I don't think that's going to be happening. That would be fire, man. I'll take Deebo and Justin Uchek. I'll take both of them dudes and put them on. Yeah, that would be awesome, to be honest with you, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Lester says the O-line needs work, but sometimes if the QB makes a better decision, right, like nothing holding on to the ball forever, he won't get sacked or have to run for his life. Indeed. I don't think Carr has a clock in his head. And I watched the film on it because it's weird. Derek Carr at times, I don't think he has a QB clock in his head, or if he does have one, it's very slow. And Drew Brees often talked about the QB clock, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi is a discipline thing, understanding that you only have a certain amount of time to hold on to the ball and you get it. Derek Carr, if he has a clock, it's very slow, because Carr sometimes think he has all day back there. And like I said, 10 years, he has a lot of good things about his game, but to get for 150 million, and then you're looking at a deep playoff run, you want him to take you there, and he's never been there before. There's things in his game that he has to be willing to understand is holding him back, and he has to be real with him. He didn't do that last year. He didn't. When the biggest criticism that he received, and he made no mention about it, was the fact that he looks down half the field. He don't see no problem with that. He don't see any issue with staring on the field, check the ball down 1 million times in a game. The guy doesn't see a problem with that. He must, because they let him do it for damn near the whole year. They didn't correct his behavior, which was weird to me. I'm like, okay, his numbers, but he'd been over 4,000, 4,500 yards multiple touchdowns if he saw the field better, because he started to play better in the last month of the season, because he would look over the field and make the throws, as opposed to trying to force the ball on one side and guys are running free. That's where the frustration was happening. Guys are running down the field, single covered, sometime wide open, or they'll be single covered with no safety support. And he doesn't even look over there. He's trying to force the ball to the guy on the left. And some of the plays call for, him to look and throw, but not all those plays. You can't tell me all those plays were designed plays where he was forced to go to the check down. No, because you put the tape on, you can see guys were wide open. You can put the all 22 on and see the entire length. You can see what was going on the field. And like, he was criticized by Michael Thomas. He was criticized by, it's just the whole season long. And if people made it seem like, oh, it was a bad thing for him. No, it's on film. And if the film could prove it, you can't take it personal if the film proves that you out here violating fundamentally. You can't take it as an insult or or the people throwing rocks at car, pun intended. No, you can't take, if the tape proves that you out here violating fundamentally, you got to respect the game. You got to respect it or get your money back and go somewhere else where the media is softer on you, because we want to win here. And 9-8, 9 playoff season is not what we talking about. That's not what we signed up for. All right. So anyway, shout out to the fab, man. Appreciate y'all. All right. Brian says if we don't sign Jameis back, we should sign the one day, then trade him to Denver for. I don't know if they do. I think ultimately, if they do release Jameis, it'd probably be like a June 1st cut or something like that. I would love to see Jameis here, but I don't know, man. I don't think they will, man. I don't think they will. That's just something I'm getting. Trying to say I missed what Jameis did to piss DA off. Please inform me. When he, Jameis happened with the final play of the game where he, instead of kneeling on the ball, Jameis asked the team, what y'all want to do? He said no. And they all made a decision as a team to go head on and get Jamal Williams his touchdown. Well, that pissed Dennis Allen off. And had people saying, well, that made the media, the media pretends to like Jameis, and some of them probably do, but a lot of them kind of throw darts at Jameis. They look at him as aloof. I know Kyle Hurd always talk shit about him. He kind of, throw little stones and rocks and make fun of him, because Jameis is a little bit unorthodox at times. He do a little kind of crazy stuff when he was like all up in Derek Carr's face, talk about move, bitch, and all this taking the soul, his eyes bucking and shit. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, Jameis is kind of throwed off, bro. We know that. We realized that about Jameis a long time ago. Jameis is a little throwed off, but he's a good guy. We got partners that's kind of throwed off and crazy, but they're good people. You know what I'm saying? That's just what they got. It's like a nervous twitch. They're good people, though. Kevin says most QBs scared to step up in the pocket and take that hit. They'll check it down. Travis says James is going to shine elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they love him. Lester says the Saints should use the majority of their resources on the O-line and D-line in free agency and the draft if they want to go far into the season. I ain't mad at you on that, bro. I do realize that we talk about like the Saints offensive line. I've seen some mock drafts where the Saints looking at a pass rusher, and I'm like, man, is that a good usage of a high draft pick to go after another defensive end? I mean, there's only so much room you're gonna put that guy. If a guy's not a starter, I wouldn't go for that. I wouldn't, because you take a defensive end, where is he gonna go? And you take him high, where is he gonna play? You're gonna sit Cam down, they won't sit Cam down. Cam's getting guaranteed money, they're gonna play him. Now, if he gets hurt, that's a whole nother thing. Carl Granderson's gonna play. They want to see what Peyton Turner does, and you got Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, there. So you're just going to add another guy into the mix who probably not – I mean, they have a lot of resources dedicated to the position. But I think the big issue to the Saints is they have to figure out what to do with the offensive line, whether they're going to put resources through the draft on the O-line, or because if you move up and take one of the top two guys like Fuaga – I like Fuaga for Oregon State. Joe Aldis, one of them. I forgot the other guy's name, but they have some good linemen that you can use, but you have to go up and get them. Now, will they trade up to go and get an offensive lineman that they could put him at the left tackle position, and then he goes from there? Or if you're going to get all that $80 million, whatever it is, and cap down, so you go out in free agency and spend a ton of cake to get it that way. See what I'm saying? So depending on where the cap situation is, depending on where it is, and I don't think Mickey Loomis is going to be irresponsible with the cap like he do every year, and especially this year because they're desperate. So I think Klint is probably going to end up getting some veterans to help out with the offensive line. And I wouldn't be mad if the Saints took a wide receiver with that, if they have a wide receiver that was available there, because they have some really good wide receivers that might fall to us there. So, I mean, I guess from an offensive standpoint, there's some areas that we can look at, but some kind of way in the draft, maybe we could pick up a safety, a linebacker, like I did my mock draft. I got another one coming out tomorrow for our Patreon and YouTube membership family. But it covers some of that stuff and thoughts on that. So we'll see how it all goes, fam. But the Saints are desperate, so there's going to be some type of irresponsibility monetarily speaking. It always is, because we're not responsible cap-wise here. We said when the Super Bowl comes to New Orleans, Q, people in chat, anybody going to go down the tailgate next year? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that one, fam. I guess it depends on how we feel, how the Saints finish. I don't know. We're going to pause. And I said this last year, but I really wanted to kind of, because I've been doing a lot of business stuff, man. I don't know if y'all know, we signed, I signed up with Believe Me and Believe, or the network, or we're working together on some stuff. So I'll be doing a lot of stuff, man. So, but definitely my key focus this year coming up is to do more stuff with you guys, like doing more events with you guys, live pods and stuff like that. I have to set it up and run it and go from there. But that's my intention, to do more of that stuff this year that I was supposed to do last year, but I had so much transition stuff I was doing. I be working on the revamping websites and doing all this kind of stuff. I get my breaks, but I've been really moving, man. All right, Kevin says, Q, Saints need a lot. There's no wrong answer. I don't think they need as much as you think, bro, depending on how they handle the offense with Klint Kubiak. If he gives them a grocery list and they go out and shop and buy them what they want, I think they'll be fine. Now, you do need, you got veterans that are still productive. I think Cam's production dropped because of his injury. If he wasn't hurt, I think he would have got maybe 5 or 6 sacks. And I know that's well below what he is, but Cam is more like I ain't gonna say he's a legacy signing insofar as the Saints say, man, we're gonna make you a Saint for life. But when he was productive, a lot of people wanted to keep Cam here, and he could still be productive for you. But I just think that you had a Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu. You want to make sure now that you get these young guys in place behind them right now in this type of draft. Like, you get you a safety, you get your linebacker, you get those guys and add them, because sooner or later the time is going to come when the Tyrann Mathieu lays it up, or he hangs his cleats up, or Demario Davis and some of these other guys. But the offensive line, they're going to put a lot of resources toward the offense, because the obvious thing, and people talk about the defensive line. Interiorly speaking, the Saints brung in 3 new guys last year: Colin Saunders, Nate Shepard, and they drafted Brian Bursey. Now, if they do get somebody in the draft later on in the middle of the draft, it'd probably be a depth chart person to fill in if they don't bring Melka Roach back, or perhaps another guy, nose tackle. You see what I'm saying? Because none of those positions are starter positions right now. Like the first 2 picks, you're looking at the first 1 or 2 or 3 picks. The first 2 picks are starter position picks. When you draft and you're looking to kind of fill a starting role, or get a starter there. And depending on how they operate in free agency, it kind of and how we deal with the draft, we can meet some needs if they know what needs that need to be met. If you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying? All right, I don't think so, Kev. It ain't as bad as you're thinking it is, bro. Travis says sign Chase Young. Yeah, he's out there. We'll see, bro. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the Saints see the need to go out and do that. They might want to go get a guy for depth. They threw a lot there. It's like I said, if you sign Chase Young, who starts? Who's your starting defensive end? You gonna bench Cam? You gonna do that? They're not gonna bench Cam. Dennis Allen's not gonna bench Cam, bro. That's what I'm saying. When I be thinking about, I would love to have Chase Young, man, come here and do his thing, but they ain't gonna bench Granderson. They ain't gonna bench Cam. And you think Chase Young gonna come off the bench? He gonna come off a situational pass rusher, and he gonna command a hefty paycheck too. to do it. And then again, I don't know, do the 49ers, their current situation, they might bring Chase Young back. I don't know what their cap situation is, but you probably will want to. And Randy Gregory played real well too. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. All right. Brian says, Big Q, if you don't mind me asking, can you think about making the Saints calendar with the schedule in it for each game? Well, we'll see about it, brother. I'm gonna see what I can do. I think they have a I'm gonna look that up, matter of fact. Hold on, let me write that down. Give me just a second. Let me write that down. Because yeah, that might be the thing. All right, Brian. Thank you for that suggestion, man. All right. Anyway, Brandon says we need some young pass rushers. Yeah. I mean, what about the guys we have? All right. Yeah. In fact, like I said, they've invested. They invested in those guys. A first-round draft pick for Peyton Turner, and a second-round draft pick for Isaiah Foskey, the Snowman. They ain't like undrafted guys like, say, a Carl Granderson, where you can move them guys around or push them around. They paid Carl Granderson this money. They gave Cam. Cam got guaranteed money. They want to see what Peyton Turner does. He's a first-round draft pick, and Isaiah Foskey, the Snowman. So I don't, I'm with you, but I don't know how this. I don't think the Saints they look at it like that. I think they're looking at it the way I'm telling you they're looking at it. I don't agree about it, but they still have interest in those guys. Remember, we kept promoting them to do this when training camp or before training camp happened. We kept trying to get them to sign veteran pass rushers. They never got around to doing it. They kept fiddle faddling around with undrafted guys and stuff like that because those guys are cheaper, and then you could put them in positions like as backups and stuff like that. But spend all that money on the Chase Young for what? You go bench Cam? They're not going to do that. I hear what you're saying. A lot of you saying because y'all want results because you think Cam is like on the back end of his career, but they don't see it like that. What's up, Neville? How you doing, fam? Brandon says the Niners are dumb. Oh yeah, I seen that, man. I disagree with that, bro. I really disagree about that. With them firing Wilkes, man, that was not a good look. What's up, Slim says got to use Zach Bourne as a pass rusher. That's especially to come out of Wisconsin. We, what, family, when they first drafted them, Slim, we knew that. We were saying that the whole time. Sean Payton said that, and then when it came down to it, they didn't do it up until the guy in the final year of his contract, they started using him the way they said they was going to use him. But the Zach Bourne thing was a running gag for us because he never played he had the athleticism to move around, but he didn't know what he was doing because he never played that position. He wasn't a stand-up linebacker at Wisconsin. He was a guy that put his, he was a pass rusher. And he got, 11 sacks there? He was really good at that, and the Saints tried to turn him into a stand-up coverage linebacker, and it didn't work out. He struggled. And then guys like Nephi Sewell, who's undrafted, took his position and forced him into the pass rusher, the sub-package pass rusher role, and he excelled at that. Now, do they then bring him back and do that again? I don't know. I don't know. Zach Bourne will be interesting, man. He might pull up stakes and head up north to Wisconsin, where he come from. You never know. All right, what's up, KB? Shout out to the Queens, man. Brother Eric, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you. All right, last question here. Brian says Dennis Allen doesn't work out after this year. Do you think there's a possibility we get Bill Belichick as the next coach in New Orleans Saints? Maybe. That's a good question, Brian. You would hope, you know what I'm saying? You would hope because Bill Belichick, and there was a report that Atlanta put out about, I think Count Blank said that the Atlanta Falcons said that Bill Belichick didn't ask for control in terms of general manager control. So if he comes to New Orleans, does he do that? Does he want general manager or some form of general manager control? What Mickey Loomis is. That could be problematic. Mickey Loomis don't want to give up no power, even though he got two jobs. He'd be damned if a guy like Kai Harley get to be general manager. Listen, just be happy I made you assistant general manager. Yeah, but I ultimately won't be the general manager. Yeah, but if somebody come and pick you, I'll just find somebody else. Why don't you just let me be the general manager? You're the vice president. And I want both roles. Really makes no sense for him to have both those roles. But it's just like an ego thing. Like, I got control of the team. You're old. No disrespect to my older people, but I'm saying it's sometimes the game pass you by. It pass you by on the greatest coaches. You don't think it passed you by with general managers? And I knew like Ozzie Newsom was a fantastic general manager for many years with Baltimore, and he was 10 times the general manager Mickey Loomis could ever hope to be. But at some point, you have to have the imagination and common sense to understand that my job is what it is. I'm a vice president, and I train these guys. Let them get that, and I can just cruise into it. There's no reason for him to keep both those jobs. He don't need to be the general manager and the VP. And his reason, he's the problem why we going through this stuff right now with Dennis Allen. This is the NFL. Dennis Allen wouldn't have survived nowhere else. He wouldn't have survived his team looking like this. He'd have been fired. He'd have been fired. No other NFL team would have put up with this foolishness. I mean, but you don't have a hands-on owner who trusts into my thought process too much into these other guys. Just trust way too much into these other guys. Too much. And they're not even evaluating each other. The guy that's above Mickey, Lucci, is not evaluating Mickey Loomis's job. He's not. And that's what where's the accountability at? Where is it? He could sit up and all the stuff he said last year was a joke and a half. So like I said, it doesn't make any sense to me. He's the reason why the Saints are going through this crap right now. Why the team is where they are. He's the reason. He made these decisions, and we forced to suffer through it. So, all right. So shout out to the fam. Les says, Q, don't you agree our head coaches is a problem drafting players who are projects instead of drafting proven ones? I mean, it's a crapshoot the way you look at it. You're supposed to do your work and figure out what player fits your system. I think oftentimes, sometimes the Saints, a lot of times the Saints would draft people that are part of a different system just because they like their athleticism and they think that they can convert the player into something else and it don't work. Like they'll pick up a 3-4, like they did with Zach Bourne. It's a perfect example. Zach Bourne was a 3-4 linebacker, and they try to take him. Well, he wasn't a linebacker, but he was a guy that was projected to be in that style of system. They'll take a 3-4 linebacker type. And don't get me wrong, depending on who the guy is, he might be able to play multiple systems. But sometimes you might have a system player that plays well in a particular system. And if you take him out of that system and put him somewhere else, he won't thrive as much. So that does happen. But, like I said, you just have to do your research to the best of your ability and find players that fit what you're doing. And just from a character standpoint and injuries, production, all that's a part of it. And to be honest with you, Saints ain't really been hitting on a lot of stuff draft wise, but undrafted wise, they filled up the team with a lot of really solid undrafted people. Rashid Shaheed's undrafted. He performed better than some of our drafted guys. You know what I'm saying? We had a couple of special teams players that really stepped up. How about Isaac Yiadom? Yiadom was a guy that they brought on the team. JT Gray was another guy that was undrafted. Nephi Sewell was another undrafted guy. Malcolm Roach was another undrafted guy, gave you good production. So, I mean, usually finding some of these guys and they play well for you in spots. Jawan Johnson, the ultimate undrafted guy. He's your starting tight end. So, I mean, we have a really good ability to find these undrafted guys, but Saints not really hitting in the draft area, especially early on anymore. The Trevor Penning pick is not looking too good. Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, developing. Peyton Turner can't ski, same see. So yeah, we need to work on that, man. We definitely need to work on that. All right. So anyway, listen, fam, we're gonna do that. That'll be the end of the show. Listen, I appreciate you guys for chiming in on this episode of the Coma. We covered some good stuff today. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow. My Patreon family members, I'm gonna be releasing that mock draft tomorrow for our Patreon and YouTube membership family. If you want to do that, family, you can feel free to click the link in the description section below, or simply go to patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. A lot of content is there, or just become a member of our YouTube channel. But the Patreon family member will get a little bit more as I upload other stuff there, as our news show on Cuba Big Q, which is another cover some news, notes, and items. I haven't done on Cuba Big Q, but I'm gonna be doing one real soon, and some other stuff. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna get on out with that. Yeah, I'm gonna be back. I said tomorrow, like tomorrow's another day. Actually, later on today, rather to talk about the latest development. So much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button for me. Feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to share the show on your social media feed. I'm going to holler at y'all later on in the day. Much love, and who dat too.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Probably like this and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description